Go, go, Carter. You should be the first one. Go, 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 go.
You can't get too close.
Now let his kids go. Where's daughter?
Max Bigger Val, New York, New York.
Yes, sir.
Fresh out the can.
Damn.
Off of 18 stretch.
Damn.
They gave me 7 and 5.
Max B when he gets
Nah,
it.
Max B.
Okay.
Max, out of here. People don't play with me with that conversation. Ain't nobody can tell me nothing about that. That's the first thing I say. You heard?
Okay.
That's how you feel. That end the deal for anybody. There ain't no Max talking about conversation.
Max B finally stepped back into the world after almost 16 long years behind bars, grinding through appeals, setbacks, and every curve life threw at him. And now the wave is crashing back harder than ever. His freedom feels huge, real uplifting, real earned. But the streets are buzzing because somebody out there is not smiling about this comeback. And that somebody is supposedly Jim Jones. Max's return didn't just wake up their old drama. It spun the whole block into a fresh storm of trolling aimed right at Jim, and people online are acting like they've been waiting for this moment. Folks are saying Jim might be in for a wild ride, and the energy is only getting louder. It hasn't even been 3 full days since Max touched down, and it already feels like he's everywhere, like the whole city plugged him straight into their feeds. Scroll once and he's in a jewelry shop trying on heavy chains. Scroll again and he's at a birthday function surrounded by friends, moving around with that smooth wave energy like he never left.
How you feel? How you feeling
I feel righteous.
Damn.
Feeling good.
Feeling good,
I
feeling
know it
good.
is. I'm grateful.
Okay.
I'm thankful.
Love that, love that.
Next thing you know, he's in the club turning up, then popping out at a Jets game like it's nothing, moving around so much it feels like he's got a whole camera crew glued to him. This ain't some quiet slip back into life moment. Max jumped straight into the spotlight and grabbed it with both hands. And honestly, people are loving every second of it. This is one of the biggest homecomings hip-hop has seen in years, and fans have been waiting over a decade to watch the wave glide again. So it makes perfect sense that he's everywhere. He didn't just come home. He came home making noise, dropping moments, grabbing attention, all of it. He even proposed to his girlfriend just one day after touching down, which had the whole internet going wild. But with that kind of hype, man, the drama always pulls up right behind it. A comeback this loud is guaranteed to shake up some old scars. Talk about past issues, old beef, snitching rumors, jealousy, folks choosing sides, all that messy stuff. But the biggest spark catching heat right now, that long-running feud between him and Jim Jones. Jim Jones has been trying for years to keep his name far away from anything tied to Max B, and he's made that clear in interview after interview.
That's an A-lister.
Okay.
Anybody that got a sack, balls, look me up, I'm gonna get you right.
He said straight up that he doesn't want to talk about Max, doesn't want any connection, none of it. In one interview, he even said something harsh like, "Forget Max B," and later added that while he might forgive in theory, he's never forgetting what went down. That door was locked up tight, no question. But with Max B finally out and moving around again, everyone knew Jim's name was gonna pop back up, and it didn't take long at all. And out of all the people who could have kicked things off, it was 50 Cent who ended up lighting the fuse, which honestly shocked nobody. 50 and Jim already got their own long-running issues, so the moment Max touched down, it was the perfect setup for 50 to stir the streets up again.
B when he gets
Nah,
it.
Max B.
Okay.
Max, dick, fuck out of here.
All right. Okay.
50 hopped on Instagram doing exactly what he's known for, trolling with precision. He posted a meme from the movie Belly, showing the character Rico eating a banana, with the text labeling him as Jim Jones, basically trying to imply that Jimmy was involved in something shady. Then he hit the caption in full 50 style, writing something like, "Homie said Max home, it's packed in harbor. Jimmy about to drop a dime on these dudes, LOL," and people went wild over it. He even added a clip of Max B on FaceTime with DJ Who Kid. And once that dropped, it wasn't just 50 anymore. Bloggers, hip-hop pages, fans, everybody jumped in with their own takes, turning the whole thing into a loud circus. And for anyone who doesn't know the history, the tension between Jim Jones and Max B was never some small rap argument. It was deep, personal, and real messy. Back in the mid-2000s, Jim and Max were basically moving like family, recording nonstop, hanging out, running through Harlem side by side like a unit. But before all that fame and before the drama exploded, Max had already lived a heavy life. He had just come home in 2005 after serving 8 years for robbery charges, and when he touched down, he reinvented himself as Max Bigavelli, a name he built by blending 3 legends: Biggie Smalls, Machiavelli Tupac, and Jigga Jay-Z. It was bold, loud, and it got people paying attention fast, and right around that time, Harlem was on fire. The Diplomats were running the city, owning the sound, the style, the whole wave. Cameron, Jules Santana, and Jim Jones had the whole city in a tight grip, dropping anthems that shaped a whole era. Through Cam, Max linked up with Jim, and the chemistry was instant, real natural, real explosive. Jim signed Max to his label, Bird Gang, and teamed him up with Harlem legend Dame Grease, and from that point, everything started moving fast. By 2006, Max dropped his first mixtape, $1 Million Baby, and it tore through the streets. His raspy melodies, that loose, confident flow, and his wavy style made him sound completely different from anybody else out at the time. It was raw and unforgettable. Bird Gang also had another rising star, Stack Bundles, so with both Max B and Stack in his corner, Jim Jones had the ultimate duo lined up.
This woman, Gina Marie Conway, a prostitute who'd been with Plowden, told her boyfriend Charlie Wingate, aka Max B, a rapper, about the men's money.
They were set to be the new face of Harlem, no question. Max became the hidden machine behind the hooks and melodies that helped Jim's records smash. And tracks like Baby Girl turned into straight neighborhood anthems that everybody knew. People started whispering that Max was the real creative engine behind Jim's new sound, and that's when the tension really started bubbling. As Max's name got bigger, so did the instincts he carried from the streets, and those instincts eventually pulled him into a situation that flipped his whole life upside down. Around that time, he was dealing with his ex-girlfriend, Gina Conway. She told him about a flashy guy she knew, Alan J. Plowden, a dude living fast, pushing a mortgage and mail fraud hustle, riding in luxury cars and flashing cash like it never stopped coming in. It sounded like the type of lifestyle that catches attention instantly. According to Gina, Max couldn't ignore the opportunity she was talking about, so he thought they could hit a quick move. The plan sounded simple. Go to Plowden's hotel room, scoop whatever money was sitting there, and slide out clean. Gina claimed Max was the one talking big, promising her everything if she played her part, but once they tried to act on it, nothing about that night went the way anyone expected. Gina and Max's stepbrother, Kelvin Sims, were the ones who actually went out to make the move happen. But everything started going wrong from the jump. They were supposed to slide in while Plowden was out partying, but they got lost, missed exits, and burned hours just trying to figure out where they were going.
Of September 22nd at the Fort Lee Holiday Inn. Police are called there after a man is shot to death. The victim, David Taylor from Florida, was staying in room 226.
By the time they finally reached the hotel in Fort Lee, Plowden was already back in his room, asleep with another woman next to him. Then things got way darker. Another man, David Taylor, walked in out of nowhere. He wasn't part of any plan at all. Sims panicked, pulled out a gun, and fired, hitting Taylor in the face in a cold, sudden moment that changed everything. Just like that, a simple robbery plan turned into a full-blown murder case, and there was no turning back. After that, everything fell apart fast. Gina was the first one the police caught, and when the pressure hit her, she broke down. She handed over a 169-page statement, laying out every detail she claimed to know and pointing the finger straight at Max, saying it was all pushed by him according to her. Gina said Max was the mastermind, the one who mapped everything out and pushed her to ride with the plan. She claimed he promised her the world, and when everything went sideways, she spilled everything to protect herself. Once the feds had her full statement, they came after Max heavy, no hesitation. He got hit with major charges, including felony murder, even though he wasn't anywhere near that hotel room that night. His bail was set at a massive $2 million, and just like that, the rising star of Harlem's wave movement was staring at the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. While Max sat in that cold jail cell, time froze for him. But outside, the world didn't stop for a second. And right in the middle of all that movement was Jim Jones, the same man Max once called family. Jim had just dropped We Fly High, better known as Ballin', and that track took off like wildfire. It turned into a global anthem, Jim's biggest solo hit ever, the record that crowned him a star on his own. But behind those prison walls, Max was hearing a whole different version of the story. He claimed he was the one who wrote We Fly High, and that had everybody talking. Max claimed he was the one behind it all, the ghostwriter for that track and a bunch of Jim's biggest songs. He said the hooks, the melodies, the ad-libs, the whole vibe came straight from his creative mind.
Came out with all them tapes. I did that. I put them hooks together. I made the hooks. I made the melodies. Yeah. I made the shit, dog. I'm the man.
And while Jim was on TV doing interviews, celebrating, popping bottles, and collecting big checks, Max was stuck in a cold cell fighting for his future, watching someone else shine off a sound he said he built. After 10 long months of sitting and waiting, Max finally caught a little break. His bail got knocked down to $90,000, which meant freedom was finally close enough to touch, but he needed help to actually get out. And that's where everything got messy fast. Word around Harlem was that Jim stepped in, but not out of loyalty or brotherhood. People were saying Jim offered to help with the bail only if Max signed over his publishing and agreed to drop 6 albums under Bird Gang. It was like a trap dressed up as a favor. Max was locked up, stressed, and desperate, so he didn't have many options. He signed the papers. That meant Jim walked away with full control of Max's publishing, while Max walked out with temporary freedom. But his entire future sat in the hands of the man he once trusted the most. When Max B stepped out of that jail in July 2007, he wasn't the same person anymore. Prison changed Max in a serious way. The smile was still there, but behind it was a sharper, colder edge, a man carrying heavy resentment and real hurt. He walked out broke, feeling betrayed and stuck in a deal that stripped away everything he had built. But as his name started rising again on the outside, Max realized something big. If Jim wasn't going to give him the credit he felt he earned, then he wasn't staying quiet anymore. He was gearing up for war, real war. And when Max said he was ready, he meant every word. This wasn't just about getting credit for music. He was fighting for respect, for ownership, for his whole identity in the game.
Ram it up his ass, pause, ram the boom, I hit his so he can all the my car, right? My window was there, he tried to grab me. So when he came in the window, I punched him in the face.
He walked away from Bird Gang completely and started planning his next moves. If Jim was going to profit off his name, Max was determined to make sure everyone heard his side loud and clear. Nothing was off the table. And that's when French Montana stepped into the story. Back when French wasn't the hitmaker everyone knows him as today. French was known in the streets for his Cocaine City DVD series, a raw, unfiltered window into Bronx street life. He already had his own issues with Jim because of a past shooting situation that caused real tension and rumors flying everywhere. So when Max and French linked up, it wasn't just about making music. It was about revenge and proving a point. Together they built Coke Wave, and it became way bigger than just a crew. They were the underdogs taking loud shots at the industry from the underground, and they weren't scared of anybody. Max knew he didn't have big labels backing him, but what he did have was the streets behind him heavy. So he started feeding the people nonstop. Mixtape after mixtape, dropping songs for free, making sure the world heard the voice that the industry tried to quiet. But Max didn't stop at the music. He turned his whole beef with Jim Jones into pure entertainment. Every interview, every freestyle, every appearance, he was throwing shots with no hesitation. And the first major blow came with his mixtape Public Domain 3. The cover alone said everything. Max standing in a graveyard next to tombstones labeled Millie, Jim Jones, and Vanilli Joel Santana. Max called them out as fake, comparing them to the lip-syncing duo Milli Vanilli, and he didn't hold back. Then came the bars where he rapped lines like, "I know them dudes need me, I was giving them the loot, but them dudes done blew it," making it clear he felt he built that whole sound and that without him, they were lost. The record shook the streets heavy. Harlem started choosing sides fast. Jim had the fame, But Max had the streets locked in, but Max wasn't done. He went even deeper and started swinging at reputations. One of the wildest moments in the feud came when he dropped the track, "She Touched It in Miami." It wasn't just a diss, it was pure disrespect. On the record, Max claimed Jim's longtime partner, Chrissy Lampkin, had been intimate with him, hinting at moments he said went down in Miami without spelling out every detail. He even laughed about it and called Jim emotional, saying Jim couldn't handle the truth he was putting out there. Jim Jones, meanwhile, was blindsided. He didn't see any of it coming. When Max started taking those loud public shots, Jim tried to stay cool, brushing off the claims and downplaying how much Max actually contributed to the movement. He went on interviews calling Max a bitter, washed-up rapper who never made it, just another guy who couldn't handle the pressure of the industry. He even denied that Max had anything to do with We Fly High, insisting he wrote his own biggest hit. But the streets weren't buying any of that. People had already heard the old reference tracks floating around, and Max's voice was all over them. Slowly, the whole conversation started shifting. Fans began questioning how much of Jim's success, even back in the Dipset era, came from his own talent versus the talent he had around him. And while all that talk was happening, Max wasn't backing down from anything. He moved like somebody ready for smoke with anybody who tried him. He started speaking openly about how the beef wasn't just music, it was real-life tension. He claimed there was a situation where Jim and his people tried to run up on him in a parking lot, pulling up in a Bentley to block his car in. According to Max, he spotted it coming, hit the gas, pushed Jim's car out of the way, and even got a couple of punches in before peeling off fast. Face, French Montana, and others close to Max backed his version of the story, and before long, the whole situation turned into street legend. What started as a feud had blown up into a full-on saga that everybody in the city was talking about. Then came November 2008, the moment that pushed everything into a whole different zone. Max and French decided they weren't just talking anymore. They were ready to confront Jim straight up. They pulled up deep in Manhattan and walked right into a building where Jim was recording, making it clear they wanted everyone to know the streets weren't sweet for Jones at that moment. Max later claimed that when Jim realized what was going down, he called the police. Whether it was true or not, that claim alone hit Jim's image hard, because in that world, being labeled as someone who dialed the cops during a conflict was one of the worst accusations you could get. Not long after, their crews ran into each other again at a club in Brooklyn, and the whole thing exploded. Chaos everywhere, chairs flying, bottles breaking, cops and canines rushing in to shut everything down. It was wild. When the dust finally settled, Max had done way more than just feud with Jim Jones. He flipped the whole story. Suddenly, Jim was becoming a punchline, someone the streets joked about, while Max turned into a cult hero, a street legend who didn't need a big label or corporate machine to stamp him. But while the music kept dropping and his wave kept growing, the law was closing in on him again. That old case from the botched robbery had been crawling through the courts for years, and when the final verdict dropped, it crushed everything. Max was sentenced to 75 years in prison, and the hip-hop world froze. Fans couldn't believe it. It felt like the wave got wiped out before it even had the chance to crash onto the shore. While people mourned the loss of a rising force, Jim Jones looked like he was quietly celebrating in the background. From his angle, it probably felt like he made the ultimate business move. Max was locked away, his voice muted, and Jim still held the publishing rights to his music. In his mind, it must have felt like he finally won the situation. But in May 2010, the whole script flipped again. A judge ruled that Jim Jones no longer had any control over Max B's music career. The court said Max had already fulfilled the terms of both his 2005 and 2007 contracts, which freed him completely from Jim's grip. That alone shocked the industry. Then came the real miracle. Max's massive 75-year sentence got chopped down to 20 and later reduced again to 12. Slowly, the darkness started lifting, and he began seeing real daylight. And now, after all those years, the man who built a whole wave from inside a prison cell is finally home again. Even with his release, the internet couldn't stay calm. The moment word got out that Max was close to coming home, the same old noise popped right back up. Snitching allegations. Anytime a rapper beats a heavy sentence, those rumors always seem to jump out the shadows, and Max wasn't spared from it this time either. And leading the charge was Wack 100, stirring the pot loud. According to Wack, he claimed he had paperwork showing Max cooperated with law enforcement while he was locked up. In an interview with Vlad TV, he said he had documents that supposedly proved Max met with authorities and gave up information that helped cut down his original 80-year sentence. Wack claimed Max shared details about a woman connected to the case, even telling investigators where she worked, and he said that this info played a part in getting Max's sentence reduced. Wack also claimed he talked to people close to Max who supposedly confirmed the story, even saying there was video footage out there that could cause problems if it ever surfaced. But here's the real issue. Nobody outside of Wack 100 has ever seen this so-called paperwork, and even he admitted he doesn't personally know Max B and never had any real connection with him. That alone had people side-eyeing the whole situation. Most folks saw it for what it looked like, somebody trying to get attention off another man's name. Fans jumped to Max's defense fast, calling Wack's claims straight clout-chasing nonsense. And honestly, for most people, none of that mattered. They were just happy to see Max free, smiling, and living his life again after all the years he lost. Now that Max B is officially home, the big question is what happens next. Will he dive back into music? Will the new generation embrace him the same way the old one did? The game has changed a lot since he last touched down, but the streets don't forget their legends, not ever. For now, Max is enjoying his freedom, soaking up love, reconnecting with people, and feeling the energy that's been waiting on him all this time. If you rocked with this story and want more deep dives just like this, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment so the wave keeps rising.